hardware to run it on, but you have the right record, card and everything. So I think,
The meeting's called to order.
it's going to be 10 grand or whatever.
We're going to have to zoom around back to try and pick me up when I passed her coming down too fast. I hope the bird is still high up and the cats are in timeout with those to its nest. So, meeting's called to order. You will notice that Greg Johnson is not with us. He has resigned. And that leaves a position outside of the city limits open. And we will advertise for it and have applications if someone would like to take that on. Suzanne's, yes?
What about the applications we already received that were rejected for being out of city? Can we review those?
I guess we could. We could call them and see if they are still interested.
I think that would be a wonderful
I
thing.
think that would be fine. And then Suzanne has a late appointment. We'll be here as soon as she's done. So we will have another person. I've introduced her to the city council, but she hasn't been voted on by the library board yet. So it'll be the three of us sending our recommendation to city council, all of whom knew her naturally, as she's been here a long time. Her family has. So, do we have some public input this evening? If so, you want to stand and then state your name and address and talk to us.
I would just like to say that I didn't see on the agenda the progress on the strategic planning application. And I was reading through the minutes from last year, and we were hoping to have them actually working by February, so I'd like to see that move forward.
Yes, so would I. We can do that. How many were on that committee that many years ago? I think 11. Okay, so I don't remember. I did not work on that. So if we can get 11 people who can manage to meet most of the time at the same time, we better get moving on it. So is the old form for applying for the strategic plan still around somewhere? Or should we have it?
I can take a look at it. There was no form.
There wasn't anything, people just...
There was no form.
You invited them or something? They invited them to do it, Sarah?
Right, the team members invited them to be on the plan, or the strategic planning.
Well, there was an application thing that we made last time, so we crossed out the age requirement.
Yeah, I can amend it and bring it back at the next meeting. We'll have the application then.
Well, that'll be a month away.
Yeah.
Yes. Or I can, if the board would like to approve it as amended with the suggested changes, I could go ahead and change it and send it out to you by email, and then you could vote on it.
I'd like to see it first.
That's what I would send it out by email, and you could vote on it.
All right, but then we don't have any discussion of it when it goes out by email. And we don't have to have it set into place and finished by September. I'd rather take the time and go over some and discuss what we want to have on the strategic plan. But if you can email everybody.
No, this is just the application for
the
committee.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm going to send that out, and then we'll see if we need to, would like to change anything
Yes.
for the committee.
I can do that.
Yeah, we went over it, and I suggested that there didn't need to be an age, and there was something else.
Yeah, it was,
have it?
I don't have it here, but it was, I had copied a form that another city had, and it had, are you a resident of this? We changed it to, are you a resident of the service district?
That was Kelly's.
Yeah, okay.
Anything else? We certainly do not want an age limit on it, at least
No.
for the upper end.
There was the lower end.
Okay. Well, below 7 is probably not good, but we'll be okay. Another, would anyone else like to see?
Will this be the only opportunity, or are you going to open it up for comments at the end of the meeting for public comments?
We can do that.
Okay. Thank you.
And thank you so much, those of you who helped put away the table and chairs last time, because the library fairy wasn't coming. But if it happens again, the library cookie fairy may come. Maybe even with brownies. It's just not all that much fun to haul these, they're very heavy, and put away. So, minutes from the February 9th meeting.
I think that should be proposed and approved at regular board meetings. About bylaws being changed, that they could only be, instead of discussed, it can be discussed anytime, but maybe proposed and approved at a regular scheduled board meeting. That's on the second page of the minutes on the top. And I thought Melanie did a good job with the minutes.
And I would like to suggest we do something we started at City Council many years ago, that when there's a big issue, you talk about it first, but you don't vote on it at that meeting. You wait until the next meeting. For some of us, it takes a little longer to have things filter in. And when we have more time to think about it, then we might even decide something different or something better. So
Yeah.
I think that would be a wise choice to take care of that in a regular public meeting.
So maybe we should add to the bylaws that bylaws can only be proposed and approved at regularly scheduled board meetings, and that they need to be proposed and then approved at separate meetings. So that's what I would propose as a bylaw change.
Okay, now separate meeting, do you mean we could meet the next week or in
No,
2 weeks?
no,
Or
we
the
definitely-
next regularly scheduled meeting?
Regularly scheduled, you could not have a
Okay.
special meeting. I think people would get upset, especially after our last.
Yes, I prefer it to be a regularly scheduled meeting. I think we're all in agreement with that. Do you wish to make an official proposal?
Yes, that may be inappropriate, but yes, I would like to propose that change to the bylaws, that they can only be proposed at a regular scheduled meeting, and then at the next regularly scheduled board meeting, they could be approved.
Okay, that's a good word, could, because it might mean that we would need more work on it, and that doesn't mean that you absolutely have to do it at the next meeting. I think that would be fine.
So,
Is there anything else with the minutes?
do we vote now or later?
Now, for the minutes. Okay. All in favor? Aye. All right.
Who is this, excuse me, who is the person, who is this second?
I believe it was Earlene, and I think she was said something effective, as I said.
Okay.
Yeah.
Proposed at one and voted on it the next. Could be voted on it the next. They might never get passed.
You know, that could be. Well, Anna, it's on to you.
Okay, I'm going to take a look at your statistics. We have a happy statistic in that we had a 20% increase over last year in January for patrons registered. We had a 23% increase in checkouts, altogether checkouts. And some of the other numbers are down, and I'm really not sure why, like ebook circulation is down 2% from last year. Total checkouts are 10% higher, which is happier. Check-ins are down a bit. That doesn't make sense to me either. It seems like you have checkouts, you should have the equal number of check-ins. And we don't have website visits available for last year at this time, but this year, in January, we had 4,626 website visits to our website. And that is something that Rochelle Shibahara has added recently as an option to let us know what our website visits are. And that's exciting because we have access to, patrons have access to their accounts through the website. They have access to the catalog. They can place holds. They can check on their account. They can renew items. They can, what else? That works. So, yeah.
And access the databases and everything.
Access the databases.
For the check-ins, if I have the books in the car and haven't stopped here at the library, and I happen to be around another library in our service district, I just turn it in then.
Yeah.
Because I know it will get back here immediately and somebody else will be able to get it faster than I might drive back and then forget to do it the next morning. So
That's true. We could also get a lot of check-ins for other libraries, and we route them by courier every day. So that could be part of it. We have just an anecdotal bit of information. We've seen an uptick in patrons coming in lately due to Sandy's being closed because Sandy is currently moving to their new building. So they're moving from their temporary building to their new building that has been, it's not a new building, it's a building that's going to be modeled, and it's really lovely. You might want to drive by and see it. And, I think it's going to be really nice for them. It's going to be larger, and it's just, they did a great job with it.
isn't that open March 5th?
Yes.
The grand opening is March 10th at 6:30.
Grand opening.
Yes, March 10th, Saturday at 6:30 with music and after hours schmoozing around.
March 10th, that would be fun.
March what?
10th, Saturday, March 10th.
That would be good.
Okay, so any questions about the statistics besides that?
Do we have any type of item to send them a congratulatory bouquet or card or something that says, yeah. Now, do they have their book nook in their library? I know they did at one time.
I don't know if they still do or
To the
not.
back, and it was there. But it didn't have nearly the number of items in it as we do downtown.
Didn't they say that they were going to do something different or maybe discontinue? I heard somewhere that they were going to kind of discontinue their corner and have sales, but I don't remember where I heard that.
Well,
I could be
we'll have to
completely
find
wrong.
out.
I heard that they reduced their space and that they were going to ask the staff to deal with the sales. And it was still up in the air. That's the last I heard from George.
Well,
Well, the
that's
staff
something we'll have to ask you
Yeah.
anyway when we go over. I'm sorry, do you know, Anna, what you want to with the,
Nope. So we can move on to the expense and revenue ledger.
could I ask another question on these annual statistics?
Absolutely.
I know that I was reading something in the New York Times that authors who are having their books downloaded would like to have additional compensation after so many of them have been downloaded. And I don't know if that was going to be, they didn't go on to speculate if that was going to be, a horrible thing to have to deal with.
That's the thing that libraries are already having to deal with because Penguin Books has, have a new rule that, or a new policy that once or a library has downloaded their title 26 times, they have to repurchase it, which it really goes against the grain because when you buy a book, you buy a book. You don't have to repurchase it until it falls apart. But 26 checkouts is the amount that they've come up with. And so librarians everywhere are kind of up in arms about it, and there's all kinds of things floating around that. I don't know if Penguin is back down. One of the publishers did back down from that a little bit, but I don't know. I don't think it was Penguin. But I can find out more information and get back to the board with that.
Interesting.
How much do you pay per book roughly? I guess it varies.
It really varies, yeah.
So what is the range?
Well,
Is it a whole lot less than purchase of a book?
well, I would say it is a bit less, but not a whole lot less. The authors still need to make money,
Mhm.
The publishers
Yeah.
still need to make money.
Sure.
Yeah. So yeah, it's not insignificant. It really is not insignificant if we have to keep buying those books because that drives up our costs a lot more than printed book. Which
Right.
doesn't make a lot of sense.
How is our Kindle book going? Are there a lot of people asking for demos, and that it's not loaned out, but it's available?
It's not loaned
for-
out. Yeah, it is available to show people how to download books. We haven't had a lot lately. It was right after Christmas, we got a huge rash, and that's when we thought we really need a Kindle. And so we have to ask Michelle that. Michelle's not at this meeting, but we can ask her. Oh, I'm sorry, Michelle, I'm sorry, I thought you left. I'm sorry. So what's going on with the
Yes,
Kindle?
I do get questions about Kindle, iPad, and Nook, and downloading audiobooks all the time. That's just my best
And
answer.
also
all the time.
on MP3, and I don't know how many other electronic things out there doing strange things.
We have MP3 titles also. They're like a CD, and if you have a newer CD player, you can play them on your CD player.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you can play them in your computer, actually.
Yeah, yes, you can also play them on your computer. They're nice in that instead of being 12 discs, they'll be like one disc. Yeah.
Some years ago in England, authors had a big protest because the English use their libraries more than any other country. And so the authors are saying, yeah, 55 people have checked out my book in the last 2 weeks, and I haven't seen any more than one bit of income for it. I don't know what they ever decided to do, but I wonder if that would ever move across the ocean, and I can understand that an author would want to do that, if that's how you're trying to make your living.
Yes.
Anything else with our
What
statistics?
about the laptop computers? How is that going?
I'm
Sam?
doing really well. Actually, Michelle can fill you in on that too.
The laptops have been at Network a lot.
I'm sorry.
Network, the laptops were fitted with something called Deep Freeze, which is a program that prevents people who use that from putting their own links and information onto the hard drive. Because if you have something that's used by the public, you don't want anybody saving anything on there. And since Network is being hit so very hard with their staffing issues, they had kept those for a long time. So now 2 of those are fixed, 3 of them are not.
So you mean immediately you had to put this software, install it, and so 3 are still not available out of 5, right? The other 2 are being used a lot. And so if a person wants to save something, they have to have their own flash drive to plug into it or something, or?
Well, that's not what we're using it for. I mean, the goal is to have classes and have people be taught how to use, basic computer skills with the laptops. So we don't have any classes yet.
But we do have tutoring that, and the tutor uses them.
The tutor uses them. Usually they'll use 2 of them, or someone can bring their own laptop in and get specific help with their own, because sometimes it's more valuable to someone if they bring their own laptop in and can be shown with their own computer. Yeah.
And actually, besides the person who comes in to help with that, doesn't every library employee know how to help somebody on the computer?
They do not. They do not. Many of them do. It should be a requirement for the job, but many do not. Actually, not many.
I thought I could just go ask anybody, because everybody on earth knew.
There's some very simple things that every library employee should know how to do on a computer.
I am taking a computer class, and the woman beside me has a definitely unfair advantage because she has a 10-year-old at home.
That's who knows how to do everything.
Yes, that's what she said. He told me how to do this assignment. I just wanted her son's cell phone number or phone number. So I thought, well, those are the ones who got their assignments done were the ones who had children at home, who use them all the time. I mean, that's a part of their everyday life that they have to use.
May I ask a question? I don't know if it's appropriate, ma'am. I wondered if, clarification, do you mean that before we hire someone, they should have those skills? Or were you suggesting that the library should do some training? Which has never
We
been
do
done.
both, yeah. Some training would be fine.
I just wasn't sure what was.
I can see that that might be an employment requirement in the future, because it seems like there are people of all ages in those classes because every single thing on earth is on computer. And that's probably why the interest in teaching kids how to write in cursive has sort of gone away because they're all going to be using computers or those other type items. So,
Well, of course, our computers do have their own twists.
yes,
The way they're
each
set
one
up.
does. Yeah, each one. So that might be something else that the library board may care to look into. And I don't exactly know what the basic requirements are to work in the library. But I would think surely soon in the future, computer knowledge would be one of them. Anna?
Yeah, we might need to look at our job descriptions again and see if that portion of it is really included. Some basic.
And it might be that it could be phased in, not,
Yeah.
not like that, but.
Sometimes they grandfather in those clause, the clause, those are grandmother's clause, but grandfather in people who don't know how to use a computer, but they are expected to learn how
To learn certain.
Yes. Other, the revenues?
Yes, if you take a look at your general ledger, we've received our disbursement up to 56%. I'm sorry, let's see, county library funds, 87% we received. So we have several more payments that are going to come to us during the rest of the fiscal year, but they are increasingly smaller. So year to date, we've gotten $550,195. So if you look at the state of the budget, we're still in pretty good shape. There's a few that, of course, are running a little higher than others. Okay, accounting and auditing is at 100%, but that's because that's automatically taken out for the year. Another one that's kind of high is adult programming, but that's because Michelle was planning most of her stuff for earlier on in the year. There's not going to be an adult summer reading program this year.
No, there
There is, I'm sorry. I'm not doing well for you, Michelle, am I?
Fine.
Yeah, okay, so last year we did not have an adult summer reading program, but this summer we're having an adult summer reading program. That's correct, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is this like in the form of a book club type of thing?
Yeah, she does different things. She can tell you more about it.
Michelle, you're on again.
The goal is for it to be fun and not very complicated and just kind of promote reading like we do for kids. So we don't have a lot of weekly prizes. I think what I did the first year is everybody filled out a coupon and wrote down what kind of library service you used. And then we did a drawing. You put your coupon into a box. And at the end of that, we drew for gift cards and some prizes. Actually, the first year we had a dinette set for the outside that was donated by the True Value Hardware here in town. And somebody did that. It seemed like a long time ago, but yeah, that's a pretty nice prize. And
That
that's
might be something that the Chamber of Commerce involved with.
Yeah, it was really lovely. It was glass top and
Glass top,
an
chairs,
umbrella
two
and 4 chairs.
no umbrella, but 2 chairs. No umbrella. Sorry.
How many participated?
There were close to 100 people.
And you met once a week or a month?
No, it wasn't a meeting. It's just informal. You come in and you take a ticket and you say, yes, I read this book this week. And so you put it in and you put your phone number on it. You did a drawing. So mostly it was just to raise the awareness of number one, what kind of things we have in the library. We don't just have books. You know, you could check out a DVD or attend one of our programs or listen to a music CD or a magazine. You could do a puzzle in the library. So it was any one of those activities. It really was meant to increase the usage and to bring people indoor and see what we're doing here all the time.
So they got a ticket for every activity?
Every activity they did. And so that increases their chances of the drawing.
So they can only get one ticket for a book one time, and then they have to branch out and do another.
I didn't want them to get 80 tickets all at once.
Yeah,
It's kind of
pretty
fair, but yeah, I wasn't really strict with it. I did talk to people were just really having a good time with it. It wasn't that serious.
You didn't quiz them about the
No
book?
quizzes, no essays. It was just fun, really.
We didn't really quiz the kids either, but sometimes I'll ask the kid what their favorite book was, that sort of thing, because it gets them excited all over again about the whole process. They love to tell you about, their favorite character or something that they really loved about a book, and it's fun for everybody. It makes doing some reading program more fun also.
I want a flash drive.
You
And
did
a month
some
ago, I
reading
learned how to use it. I did. So, but it was fun just to see so many people in and around and doing so many different things and enjoying the library. Yeah.
Are there any more questions about the expense and revenue budget?
Don't. Where would you like us to go now?
Well, we have a building update. I just want to let you guys know that finally Cascade Acoustics came and repaired the sidewalls, the north and south walls, and the ceiling cracks, and they painted. And tomorrow we're getting a lift from the high school, and we'll be dusting the fans, the lights, and the ceiling beams. So we're getting things taken care of.
So is that a no-cost borrowing the lifts from the high school?
I understand.
And no problem with liability and all that stuff?
Yes, and the lights, we'll be cleaning out the lights.
The electrical problem with the light that was
Oh
happening.
yeah, thank you. Yes, we had a light. If you look at the lights, you'll see mess in the lights, but those are going to be cleaned out. But the pipe that is kind of encasing the wire that's hanging from, and the wire that lights it up, that provides power to it, it came down, and it was about this far down, and it was a hazardous situation. So we called Frailer Electric, and they came out and fixed that this past week also. It's kind of been a little perfect storm of things happening at the library as far as the building goes.
Can you ride in the lift?
No,
I know.
I think some
that,
kids
no.
might have tried it because one of the lifts ended up by the exit to the parking lot.
Oh, really?
Last weekend, yeah, they left their lift here, there's two lifts here, and one of them decided to travel over to the exit to the parking lot, and then it was left there. And I'm not sure how that happened, but, no.
Where there's a will.
Well, sometimes there's a real liability issue with who uses those.
They're going, the high
That's why-
school is going to show us how and have a person here.
That will be on the lift, probably.
Well, I think it's probably going to be our employee Gary Guthridge.
But it'd be somebody from like the high school maintenance
Yeah.
department or
Yes.
something.
They will supervise
Yes,
the
right,
lift
yes.
because
Yes.
that's usually an insurance requirement, I think.
They had apparently loaned out the lift before to other entities.
That's really good. It's, just a liability.
They're happy to do it.
Good.
Which is nice, yeah, because lifts are easy to come by.
Is there anything else with wall or ceiling cracks or everything, or we covered it all now?
The light, the wall, ceiling, dusting fans. No, I think we're good.
Okay. Since we're waiting on Suzanne this evening, why don't we go by old business and rope right into new business? And the first item is that Library Board Greg Johnson has resigned. I was very sad to see this. I think he would have been an active member, but, you know, outside commitments and family issues have to come first. And if that's what he needs to do and doesn't feel he can devote enough time and energy for it, I'm sure he'll continue to be a supporter of the library.
Did you talk to him? Was
No.
it because we had all those meetings?
No, I have not talked with him. I've not been able to talk with him, but. So we can send a letter or farewell card and say there's.
Well, can we say no?
For keeping your
Say
chair open.
anything you want. It'll be here and we will keep watering the plant and donate it, for sure. Next item, press release about the new hours, which begin in March.
Yes. We sent out, well, Michelle sent out a press release that I authorized with a horrendous mathematical mistake that I made. I was understandably a little upset about the loss in budget amounts for the next fiscal year. And I plugged in those numbers into a percentage calculator, and somehow I didn't get them plugged in properly. So I told her that it was a decrease of, I believe it was 24% or 23%. That's not correct. I'm going to be going to City Council and letting them know that's what happened. It was entirely unintentional. I wasn't meaning to inflame the situation at all. I just wanted to kind of provide, you know, a little percentages are easy for people to understand rather than, you know, just the basic numbers. But so I won't be doing that anymore. You're going to look at the basic numbers.
So what was the percentage of decrease?
It's more like 7.9. Okay, no, I'm sorry, 9.7. Bill, do you remember?
10%. Just remember it's
9.7%.
Yeah.
That's what it was. It's more like 10%.
Okay,
Yeah.
in case anybody.
Yeah.
No, we're not in the same situation. There are like 14 or 15 libraries in this district. And I believe going through, I found 7 of them have lost money, and surprise, 7 have gained money. We happen to be with the other 6 who have lost revenue. And so other than going and scooping people off in those communities, or offering bonuses for new children, I'm not sure that's the way the figures are. And we got children here in school and we've stayed. They moved away, but we've stayed because we like it. But we're not alone. 6 other libraries are facing the same situation.
I understand that Multnomah County libraries are closing on Mondays due to fiscal issues.
Did not know that.
That's a new recent happening. Yeah, they're going to be closing Mondays.
So that's basically a 20% cut for every full-time employee.
Well,
I don't know. There goes percents again.
Yeah, I don't know what they're doing.
Wow.
But yeah, issues also.
At all of the libraries, not just the one downtown.
I believe it's all of them.
All of them. Oh dear. That's too bad. What else then can we do with the budget? What are we going to talk about this evening?
Okay, well, I just have some budget numbers for you guys to look at that are proposed for the next fiscal year. And where are they? It's right after the press release. So in the beginning here, let's take a look at this first. Here is what we pay the city for services rendered to the library. And here is the amounts. It's a table. It's the amounts, like for supplies we share. Because like I make all of these packets at City Hall for the library board. We make a lot of copies at City Hall, and so we pay for the paper, part of the printer ink, envelopes for payroll, W-2s, folders, etc. So what they do is they divide it among the various areas. So that under contractual, for copier maintenance, IT support for City Hall, that sort of thing, that's the amount we pay. So that, for this coming year, for the fiscal year 2012, 2013, it will be $24,000.
Not 22, 25. Oh, down here total.
Right.
Oh, okay, down here total.
So these, they don't really show up as a separate, in the budget as a separate section because they are charged to different budget lines.
So all of these total 24,000.
Mm-hmm.
If that's all the copies we're running out, it would seem more cost effective to go to City Hall than for us to even think about having a copying machine here, wouldn't it?
No, we make our copies, we make all
Here
these
in the
copies
building?
in the City Hall.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
You know, not to have one in the building, but to stay and do these at City Hall.
Right.
Yeah, not.
Well, we have one, well, we have to have one in the building, but theirs is more of a commercial copier. It makes color copies. It collates for you. Ours is none of that.
So this share, the $600 share of the telephone, we pay, that's for the system here,
City Hall.
is for the City Hall telephone.
Right. All of these are items for City Hall. They're divided up.
So we pay
These are our portion.
Of the total telephone bill.
But we have our telephone here that we pay for.
Yes.
And then we pay for City Hall, $600.
Part of it.
A month, a year?
No, this is a whole year.
A year. So I don't understand why we pay, why do we use their telephone?
We use everything at City Hall. We on a regular basis, we use everything at City Hall. We are using their services.
Well, I can see it was a copier and everything, but I mean, I can see, we would call them to say such and such done, but why would we go and use their, I don't understand.
Okay, so we'll say post, like, okay,
The postage I
advertising and
understand.
printing, like they advertise for our board and staff positions.
And it's been explained about the salaries and the percentage, but the telephone throws me.
Anna,
Yeah.
the explanation I can give for that is we do a lot of interaction between the City Hall and the library, City Hall patrons that call us, people that call the City Hall and ask questions, dealing with vendors over the phone for library bills and so forth as we pay all those bills. So the telephone is just split up amongst all the departments, and the library is a department. So we use a lot of our phones down there to do library work is the reason this is in there.
Okay.
It's not specifically for what the library does here. We don't do that kind of stuff, but this is the business side of things.
Okay, so that you have to call and say about that bill for books, et cetera, and that's a long distance call perhaps, and
What percent is this $24,000 odd dollars of the library budget?
I can't answer that. I don't know.
I mean, like roughly, is it?
24,600.
Yeah, out of whatever the total, I don't know what the total of all these things will come out to. It's in the city budget, so.
It's about 5%.
How much is it?
It's 4 or 5%, between 4 and 5% of the operating funds that the library uses, not counting the contingency.
Are you asking, is that what you were asking?
You're asking the percentage of the library's budget? Or the
Yes, of the
percentage
library's.
Oh, okay.
Library's
Sorry, I
budget.
misunderstood you. Yeah, that 4 or 5% is probably.
Okay.
Thank you.
You bet.
Further? Okay. Where were we? So, yes, so These are the amounts that were, like, this is the initial go-round for the budget. And if you feel that we need to, you know, like, if there's things you'd like to suggest, we can definitely look at that. So for library fines this past year, about $25,000. We're expecting maybe $27,000 this coming year. Last year, our adopted budget was $630,000. This year, of course, it will be down somewhat to $581,000. But our entire budget for, proposed budget for 2013 is $935,000. $935,700 altogether.
And
this year's budget allocation for staff based on the total budget of $909,000 is 57%. If you figure this without the contingencies, the amount allocated to salaries is 71%. I have the public library startup guide on the ALA, and it states, and it's in your packet here, on page 38, that the appropriate selection and deployment of staff is crucial. 60 to 70% of the library's budget is allocated to staff and wages, and we're right about there. We're actually lower if you look at it, including the contingency, which is part of our budget, our operating budget. We can use it if we need to. It should count.
Excuse me?
Well, regular operating expenses is just part of your carryover slush fund, but it's not part of it.
It is considered. It is considered.
It's not.
I don't.
That's what I was told by Denise.
I didn't think it was operating money. I thought it was the contingency that rolled over to fund the span between when the
It is, but
fiscal
it's
year
also
started.
can be used. It's not we're not prevented from using it, so it is considered part of our operating budget.
And then where would you come up with the money to operate the library if you didn't have, if you spent the contingency, how would you operate the library from when the fiscal year starts to when you receive your funding?
You probably have to borrow from the city.
I think that's a what if. I don't think there's any intention.
It's not the intent, and it's not the way it works, because we have a very good staff amount. Our staff, if you figure out without the contingency, the amount is allocated to salaries is 71%, which is entirely reasonable.
We will not be spending the contingency because, as we've discussed in the past, if we're going to ever expand, we need to be putting money away. And our hopes is that I hear about Friends of the Library, that this is an ideal thing for them too, if they are going to materialize, as I certainly hope they do.
I guess I'm curious as to how we are able to grow the budget by $26,000 when we lost $68,000 in funding.
Not replacing staff.
Right.
Not
We're
what?
not replacing our youth services librarian, and for the rest of the fiscal year, we're cutting our hours and our staff.
I understand.
That's how.
Okay, so
And as you know, Michelle and Anna are going to take on that additional position of the children's director of the programs on top of their already the things they have to do. So we're going to be able to do it. And with that money that we did not spend at the beginning of the year, the $10,000 for which Bill spoke about in here because of the first project this did, we had that amount too, that we are able to carry over also.
So who makes up the budget and when?
It's a process. So first of all, the board kind of gives me guidance on what the things they'd like to attempt for the year. If there's anything extra, really on the whole, it's just a matter of looking at. We don't have very many budget lines, so you kind of look at the budget line and you say, well, and this is what I did. I just sat there and went, well, we spent this much for utilities last year. Do we think we can do with less this year, or how much more is it going to increase? So we kind of take a guess, and that's what we do. And I fill it out, and that's pretty much it.
So really the only thing you could cut to save money would be hours and the programs, like you just mentioned, the children's and the adults programs. That's not really expensive.
Personnel is really the best, the only way to save a big, to save.
And it's the most important part of the library.
The other costs of the library are we can't really do much about.
Yeah. So even those programs like the children's, how much does that whole thing amount to?
Well, for this coming year, we have children's programming. We have $3,500.
Okay, that's
We get money from the state for the Ready to Read program.
okay.
And that is down, of course, this year. It's down, and so I don't even remember what the amount is. So I increased the budget a little bit to kind of make up for the loss in that they're going to get. But I think that's that should really work for both children's and adult programming. Contractual services has gone down a lot because we've changed janitorial services. And that's made a big impact. That was our major change in contractual services. Utilities, we've managed to keep utilities down by doing several different things to work with the interior environment of the library. This coming year, we're decreasing the travel expenses and the training expenses for going to meetings, but traditionally we haven't really spent all of that anyway, so it's going to be more lean, but I don't think we'll suffer a whole lot.
Okay.
We do need to provide continuing education to live up to OLA standards.
And I don't know if we need people to bring up to speed on the computers, if that has to be something that has to be done after their regular work time or during their working time.
We need to look into that.
So
If it's work-related and a requirement, they would have to be on paid time.
one way or the other. So those are things that we need to do to keep up to date, to know how to, it's a lot easier to fill out a library card than it is to teach somebody like me to cut and paste. Trust me.
So just a note about the collection development. Did I mention this? You did not. Okay, thank you. About the collection development. The first year I came here, we still had quite a bit of money. It was like $120,000 from insurance because of the flooding of the building to help replace items. So we had we just couldn't even spend it all. So we carried over a bunch of money. We carried over, I believe it was $78,000 to the next year. We carried over some to make it $78,000 to the next year. So last year we really cut it back in an attempt to be more frugal. This year I'd like to expand, because it was in such good shape at that time. But this year I'd like to expand it back to $73,000 so we can start really working on the collection some more. We were recently funded, or we're approved to be funded for $3,000 of nonfiction DVDs. Michelle requested that from the foundation and was approved. So we're looking to be able to beef up our nonfiction DVDs, which are, like documentaries, various other things like that. True life stories.
Ken Burns.
Ken Burns films.
Yes, I would think that. Okay, so you would like us to take this information home, look over it and see what we might think about, and then come back at our next regular meeting and say, okay, it looks like this is, we have to do this here. Now, we are entitled to just talk with each other individually, but not three of us at one time. That's just the way it is. So if we have some genius idea and fall from the sky, then you gotta share it with the rest of us, but serially, not a group, as a group. So, do you maybe get in touch from us about different items, but you know where you work, so
I'll be happy to answer any questions I can.
So basically, you'll make up a budget and show it to us like next meeting or something, March?
No, it's in your packet now.
Oh, that, okay.
Yeah.
And,
So please take a look at it and see if you got any questions. Let me know.
Foundation will not be getting any more money to the library for a certain while, but I understand from a reporter I talked to today that they will honor previous commitments for the children's programs and the CDs or DVDs. They will do that.
Yeah, I worked at Book Nook, and Linda asked me to ask for the invoices again. And the foundation is of course, going to pay for what they have already approved, but they need the invoices.
Are you there tomorrow?
Am I there tomorrow? You could go in, and whoever is working, have them put it with the money.
Okay, I'll be glad to learn
I
that.
think it's Pam Warner.
It's Friday.
Or Pam Wagner and a gentleman named Cody who I never met.
Yeah, one and only meal. Or you can give them to me if you want tonight. I could run down there and read them back.
And does that include the databases and the,
No, because the databases haven't gone before the foundation yet, officially.
so that's the other thing.
Yeah.
Whatever they had already agreed to pay for, they will honor their, gladly pay, but they need the invoices and bills, so they need to, direct the money. So if you have them tonight, I could go down and leave them for Linda.
I don't believe I do. I think they're still at City Hall because I gave them to Tracy and then I called and said, wait, don't pay those. So,
And I volunteered there on Saturday, so if I come in, you can give them to me and I can leave them for Linda so that she can have them. I guess we'll have to be brainstorming about how to pay for the databases then. As they've said, there will be no more money for the library. LDAP, you're on.
We don't have any good news like we had last meeting, no. The Library District Advisory Council met on February 9th. Aside from the standard formalities, the main topic of discussion was the ongoing integration of Damascus into the Library District. A little history. Damascus was not initially a member of the Library District because the Damascus City Council decided against joining the effort to pass the ballot measure. Each of the Library District member cities, including Estacada, contributed $10,000 to fund the campaign, but Damascus decided not to contribute. After the library levy passed, the citizens of Damascus were unhappy that their library cards were turned off, and there was I believe a $90 fee per person to turn them on, just to get a card. So they were understandably unhappy, and so they overturned their city council's decision and voted to join the library district. One of the items that LDAC is tasked with is to help resolve issues just such as this. With the help of the Clackamas County Attorney, we crafted a proposed agreement to bring Damascus into the fold. Damascus countered with a revised proposal that was full of additions and redactions to the LDAC agreement. Upon review, LDAC unanimously rejected the revised proposal and wrote a response to Damascus stating as much. We have not received a reply as of this writing. It should be noted that regardless of when a resolution is reached, the citizens of Damascus have had library service since they voted to join the library district and are paying their fair share of taxes for the same. And I included a link, and of course it's not a link unless it's on an email, but this email address will take you straight to the LDAC, it's the Clackamas County Library site, and there are all of the meetings from all of the minutes from our meetings are posted there, as are the agendas for an upcoming meeting. So if you ever want to review what is going on at these meetings and don't wish to attend, you certainly can do so. The other thing that we are tasked with, one of the other things, is ensuring compliance with the threshold standards. And I think there's some maybe misunderstanding or confusion about that, and I just want to address that slightly, is that there are three levels. There's threshold, there is adequate, and there is excellent. And we are required to meet the threshold standard, the lowest level. And this is per the intergovernmental agreement, the IGA, that was reached between the member cities and the county when the district was first formed. So, and at this point in time, we do meet these threshold standards, as far as I can tell. Anna has to fill out reports regarding where we are in regards to the threshold standards, and those are a matter of public record. So the threshold standards, if they're pretty extensive, as far as the report Anna fills out is only a partial selection of them, and if they're contained within the Oregon Library Association website and within their standards. So if anybody ever has any interest as to what those threshold standards are, I'd be happy to point you in the right direction, or you can certainly look them up on the OLA website.
This is I have handed out this document to the board members. I gave it out at a fairly recent meeting, but we have so many new members that we have a new set of standards for everybody. It's not new standards, but it's a new set.
Craig, what do the other LDAC people feel about the fact that Damascus has gotten this free ride and that they didn't have to put up the $10,000?
Well, that presents a certain amount of, I don't think anybody's happy about the fact that they didn't have to put up the $10,000, but the focus of LDAC is to, in addition to the things we are directly tasked with, there's a consensus that our main purpose is to ensure the best library service to all the patrons of the district, as opposed to getting into any political infighting, and we get drawn into that to a degree, but we're just trying to ensure that Damascus residents get the best library service they can. Now, where the problem is this, why Damascus came back with a new proposal is because they are unhappy with the fact that they will be sharing a library with Happy Valley. And there is currently a library being constructed, which will open in April, I believe, April, May, somewhere right in there, in Happy Valley, that it will also serve the Damascus residents. At this point in time, Damascus does not have the residents or the capability to support a library. But they're trying to get it set up now so that when they do form a library, they can get the funding. But there's nothing that precludes them from coming back later and saying, now we're ready to have a library, we want the funding. The concern is this: if they were to all of a sudden open a library now and take what funding they do have, even though it would be very difficult with the population they have to meet the threshold standards. But what it would do is it would take away from the Happy Valley Library and basically cripple it to the point where it would not meet the threshold standards. So the concern is that allowing Damascus to dictate their agenda and have two libraries, that instead of having one functioning library that met threshold or adequate standards, you'd have two that did not, and thereby they wouldn't actually qualify for the funding period. Every new library that is open basically hurts a community like ours more than any other because of the unincorporated population. Because what it does is it reduces the unincorporated population and thereby reduces the pool of money available to libraries such as ours that are where, like our library here, over 80%, I believe it's about 83% of the population of our library lives outside the service district, and about 87% of the funding for this library, 80% of the county distribution funds comes from outside the city. So the less people there are in the overall county area, the less funds are available, and especially if they were to open two libraries that were basically not meeting threshold standards. That's the feeling.
How does the Happy Valley people feel about this?
Damascus and Happy Valley are not, they're not happy.
And Damascus has had a county library little cubby at one time, so I imagine the citizens are not real happy with having to drive to Happy Valley.
Yeah, and I can understand that. They just kind of missed their elected representatives did them no service, because the citizens actually showed that they wanted it, and Tualatin did a similar thing, but they only have a portion of their citizens in Clackamas County, but they did the same thing and said, oh no, we don't want to join. Well, then all of a sudden their citizens as well were cut off from service. And it really shows me how important libraries are to the citizens of a given community. People really value them here. It's a great thing.
Okay, I have a question on this page about the Estacada Public Library. The taxes for, how much do the city citizens pay towards the library, and how much does because you just said the percentage, like 80% of the funding comes from outside the city.
Yeah, about 87% of the funding of the county distribution. So when you look at your budget, you've got county distribution, and then you've got the fines and the little other incidental bits of money, but the majority of our money comes from the county. So out of that county distribution, about 87% of that money comes from outside of Estacada city limits, and about 13% comes from inside the city limits.
Because I was just curious why then the city has two library board members. Because Karen and I talked a little bit about this last night, and I don't care, but a person living on the other side of the street, they're outside and they can't be on the library board. And I just wondered if it was a matter of the city, citizens paying more money for citizens.
No, it's just
the opposite.
That's the way the bylaws are set up.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's actually the city. The city manages this library, and thereby the ultimate arbiter of things for this library is the mayor and the city council of Estacada. That's who really is the, outside of the taxpayers themselves, but who actually has legal authority here is the city council of Estacada. And that is why things are structured the way they are, and how that decision got made at what time, I don't know.
Okay, so it's a Estacada City Library instead of public.
Yes, and that was also part of the intergovernmental agreement. They sat down with the city managers and the city attorneys and the county representatives and their attorney, and they hammered out. I have a copy of it, but it's a long legal agreement on what the rights and responsibilities were, and ultimately the cities were given authority over the libraries, even though many. Estacada is probably the strongest example of where you have citizens outside of the city limits, the highest percentage. Sandy also has a very high percentage outside of their city limits, can be, but then you look at places like Lake Oswego and they have almost nobody outside of their city limits because it's pretty much it's all city, So
And the income is.
yeah, and ultimately, so that's why I look to people like Sean Drinkwine and all of the city council to provide representation not only for the citizens of Estacada, but the citizens of the library district. I look to Sean as, even though I don't cast a vote for him, but I look to him as my representative as well, and I would hope they would, respect the fact that they're representing 16,500 people, not just 2,500 people.
Did the Happy Valley / Damascus amount percent go up as ours went down? I mean, not the same proportion, but did they get more?
Well, that's kind of it's a gray area because of the Clackamas Corner Library being closed, and that is what has provided service in the past, and that was a county-run facility. The county is getting out of the business of day-to-day library operations as much as they can.
Has it closed, or is it going to?
It's going to close in, I believe it's April. It will close. I mean, this is available. I believe this right here is a very interesting chart and is available on the website I gave you, but it shows exactly which libraries. It lists the libraries. It lists what their distribution was in 10-11, then this year 11-12, and then the forecast for the following year. And it spells right out who the quote-unquote winners, losers are. It should be noted, too, that Mr. Elliott is more than welcome to go to the county and challenge the results of the census. Now, whether that would be an exercise in futility, I don't know, but that was made. It's an option that was given to us at the meeting where they explained that we were losing funding. But percentage-wise, Estacada, I think you could probably make an argument that maybe Hoodland was a little larger percentage loser. In fact, you could absolutely make that argument. But Estacada was certainly right up at the head of the list of losses.
So we should be talking with Jamie Damon, who is an Eagle Creek resident on the county commission.
Yes. Well, the county, and actually that is also, we are the Library District Advisory Council. The actual district, the Library District Council is the county commissioners. So ultimately they are, just as the City of Estacada is the ultimate authority at this library, the county is, the county commissioners are the ultimate authority over the library district.
So a well-phrased letter from the library board to her can't hurt.
Oh, I don't think it could hurt, I at the meeting I questioned, how the results were arrived at, and but I mean, the results are what they are. There's not, as an LDAC rep, I really had no recourse at all. The only recourse they offered to the reduction in funds was for the city managers, the individual city managers, to come to the county and ask for an explanation and a questioning of the statistics and see that they are accurate and how they were arrived at.
Now, these statistics hold for the next 2 years until Portland State does its review or study.
Well, I believe that's on. I believe. I certainly believe. I believe they will. But I mean, I think they. I believe they work on that on an annual basis. But I could be mistaken.
I don't know if it's annual or biannual, but if they use it with the Urban Studies program.
Yeah, part of the problem there is this. This is how. This is why we are seeing this 3,000 or plus person drop in our population. Part of it is that when the cities report to the Portland State Census inquiries, they tend to fudge numbers up because that increases their funding. And I'm not saying that is the case here at all, but I was told that there's a tendency to give a little higher numbers because it increases your funding. Well, then what happens is the hatchet falls when the actual census is performed. But there's a number of variables involved there. I think we certainly probably did lose population, but there's also, you'd have to figure in on how many people don't want to fill out a census form for the government. There's a number of people in our area that are...
they just won't do it.
Well, they just won't do it, and they don't turn them in. But whether we have a higher percentage of that than other areas, I don't know. That'd be hard, it's a guess. I would guess yes, but that's strictly an opinion, not based in any fact. It's just a feeling. So
it's that independent feeling that
you
fill out something.
That's right.
Even if it helps the library, because we might not go to the library, so.
The school district itself is losing
yes,
students,
the school district
I think that's a pretty good indication of the fact that
the age and the people who live here is changing, and we're becoming a bit grayer, and our children are moving away, and we persist in staying here.
Yeah, well, the overall trending in the county as a whole, not just our unincorporated area, was towards the city, and that makes sense in economic downturn because people are going to move closer to where the jobs are, where they don't have to commute so far, where it cuts down on their commuting costs, and where they can save more money. Housing's cheaper.
Social services.
Yeah, social services are more available, and that was an overall county trend. The county as a whole lost population, which really surprised me.
The entire county?
The entire county lost population, which surprised me. Some areas experienced growth, like Milwaukee, and their library budget reflects it. Estacade has always been at a disadvantage to the larger libraries, and in some respects, our funding is probably boosted as many things in rural areas are many government-funded things are boosted because of the overall pool of money from people. I think we get. I'm not saying more than our fair share, but we probably get more than our property values in the unincorporated area would indicate, because they average that throughout the whole county of the unincorporated population, and so areas that have the unincorporated areas that have more valuable properties skew that thing upwards, and we benefit from that, is my opinion.
Well, the school district depends a great deal on free and reduced lunches, whatever the rates are for that, brings in a certain amount of income to the schools. And, you don't want to have a big population who has free and reduced lunches. But
No, I think some of the numbers too, if you look at the students in the school district, they talked about losing students in their school district, but at the same time, the Computer Academy has gained numbers.
Yes.
Children are dropping out because they have to go to work or whatever the case may be, but they're also attending the academy classes to get their education, which I think we have to look at that because they're still here. They're just doing other means of education.
But
which
do
is a
we
good
get to
thing.
count them as part of the school populace? Do you know?
Well, I don't think they do because their funding comes from a different source. For the, it comes out of the school budget. They control that, but at the same time, those numbers aren't included in their overall. So I don't know how that comes about, but I think that's where a lot of it goes. Because I don't think the kids are actually leaving. I think just our economy has changed vastly, and more children are dropping out, and families are having to do different things. So that could be some of it.
And we see some of it around town during the day.
Yeah, exactly.
That there are all these kids out there, and they go off and say I'm homeschooled or something, but I want to say, well, a little bit, we'd like to count you.
Then looking successful.
Yeah.
Thank you, Craig. I think I will access that website.
Also, if you still have your January agenda, that table is included in that agenda.
And Suzanne has arrived, and I would like to introduce her, if you wouldn't mind saying it. Suzanne, I think I know Janet and Early March, and this is Anna. I know you know her, and Suzanne has lived here for quite a long time, and she still has some kids at home, which is good. But not necessarily kids at home. So, well, I don't know if we can list that as a requirement for being on the board of trustees. It must have some taxable kids at home, but I would like to move that we appoint Susan.
I'm sorry, I was just telling everyone that the application's in here if they'd like to review it again. In your agenda.
I move to appoint Suzanne Sager to the Estacada Library Board.
You have to make a recommendation to the council.
I would like to recommend to the council that we appoint Suzanne Sager to the library board. Is there a second?
I don't know her. I guess she's the only candidate. I don't know.
Is there no second then?
I second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Suzanne will go to the next city council meeting, and I will introduce you yet again and ask for their approval of your appointment that would follow our recommendation.
I'll be there then. Thank you.
Yes. I think we're down to it. Was there, we wish to have another public input at this time? I can do that before we make our trustee and president comments before we adjourn.
I have one comment, and this is, again, brings me no pleasure to talk about budget issues in this difficult climate. However, the cuts that have been proposed so far are hours to the public and wages to the part-time staff. And at this point in time, there's been no cut, nothing proposed at all for the management team. And I just think this is unfair to the community at large and to the lower paid employees, and that there should be, getting back to the threshold standards, we are only required to have one MLS position, and that is the director in a library of our size. We currently have two. I am of the opinion we cannot afford both of these full-time MLS positions, and that I would respectfully ask the board to seriously look at the costs associated with the three-person management team. If all costs remain the same, as near as I can figure, this three-person management team will consume approximately 40% of the total county distribution in the fiscal year 2012-2013. That's as near as I can figure. And again, I'm not. This is nothing personal. It's not aimed at anybody. Of course, it would cost people hours, income, and jobs, but in order to provide the best possible services to our library and the most hours for our community, I just feel it's an area that needs to be looked at and hasn't been looked at, period, while the community is being asked to sacrifice and the lowest paid employees are being asked to sacrifice, and it seems to me that there should be some sacrifice from the management team as well. Thank you.
Are there any other comments?
Yeah, I'd like to reply to that. One of the goals in the 2008 strategic plan states in part that the library will ensure that it has appropriate staff and staffing levels to accomplish its activities and services. The library will maintain a stable quality workforce, offering competitive wages and benefits. Librarianship is not an easily defined job. We are trained information professionals, knowledge wranglers that add immense value to the library. These positions entail intense amount of brain work and the ability to jump from one topic to the next constantly. In a given day, we solve information dilemmas for patrons both in finding materials and in answering tough reference questions. We also use an amazing amount of skills on a wide range of tasks, such as resolving patron or staff issues, helping someone find the right tax form.
Is this all in the strategic plan you're reading from?
No.
Oh, when did we digress?
It was after the library will maintain a stable quality workforce. This is all our comments, Michelle's and mine.
Are they part of our packet?
No. We also use an amazing amount of skills on a wide range of tasks, such as resolving patron or staff issues, helping someone find the right tax form, locating materials via interlibrary loan, troubleshooting computer issues, planning events and programs, creating publicity and public relations materials, designing budgets, and updating job descriptions. We have knowledge and life experience that cannot be measured with any typical statistical instruments that contribute to the overall excellence of the library and its services. As it stands, I am responsible for administrative duties relating to running the library, plus collection development, reference responsibilities, and more. Michelle is responsible for library collection, promotions and publicity, programming, material purchasing, and more. The scope of both of these jobs is wide, much wider and more detailed than it may seem to those who do not do this job. The overall tasks of administration plus the librarianship are simply too much to lump into one librarian position. The library has had 2 librarians for at least the last 12 years. Having 2 librarians means expert information searching, more services, expert events, and programming planning, and professional management for the library. Benefits are not always tangible and are summed up by statistics or money. It's puzzling why so much energy, time, and money was expended into building a beautiful library that is admired by visitors from all over the state, one that this community can be proud of, yet some seem so eager to neglect the quality of service and professionalism it offers.
So that would be me. Is that pointed at me? I assume.
That is in response to remarks.
Okay. Well, I would just to respond. I would just say that we can't afford it.
That's not true. If you look
Well,
at the budget.
whatever. My opinion. It's my opinion that we can't afford it. If you get in and look at the budget, we can't
What do you
afford
mean
it.
if I get in and look at the budget? I look at the budget all the time.
Ernie, do you have any comments this evening?
No, not at this point.
The point is about to be dulled, so we're going to
Adjourn.
not quite. And I suppose my comment is to Mr. Bartell also. The library is a service organization. It depends on people. Otherwise, we could just buy books and come and dump them in the middle of the library. Or we can buy the lady at the book nook who only buys red books. Because she doesn't read them. She buys red books to decorate her wall. And I never thought of it, but it has its point. Somebody has to select those materials. They have to be ordered. They have to be gotten to the right people. And our librarians are trained in how to do that. They have to know how to work the computers. They have to handle a budget, even when it makes staff angry that materials weren't purchased at the beginning of the year because we were keeping a tight fist on the money. But as we've had 2 librarians in the Estacada City Library since, I don't know forever, but for a long time. And we've had 2 librarians in this building who moved up from City Hall. The only change in what you call, I believe, the management staff is when Sarah was moved to a full-time position, as has been pointed out, even though some people didn't think that is what was intended to do. That's been the only change in the management team. It's a pretty much organization that works very well together to provide services to the community. If we could afford to have a library open 24 hours a day, that would be wonderful. But there's only so much money, and we have to decide how to spend it. We have to have people here to help other people who have come in with questions like, I don't know how to do the Kindle. I need somebody to show me how to cut and paste, whatever. It's a service organization, and that's what it sells, is service and information. And that's not going to change. That's its job.
I might point out that, yes, we did have 2 librarians in the past, that is true, but when Beth and Katinka were here, if I'm not mistaken, their 2 salaries did not amount to the total of what we're paying one of the librarians.
I'm sure it was, because we have a library district and we can do it, and I would love to have been able to pay them that. You know, so.
This library is the next to the last in levels that we pay our staff. The only one that's lower than the law in our county. And that's not something to be proud of. That's something I've been working on and trying to raise the salaries for everyone.
And I know the staff knows that I've always advocated to raise their pay, and I will continue to do so. I just haven't bought a lottery ticket to do it, but we know their service, and we know there are so many things that go on behind that counter. I was amazed the first time I went back there and saw how many different things have to be done back there, and they have to be done by people, and we pay people. People haven't left us. There's always traffic in this building. It's always being used because we provide a service that people need.
Approximately how many people are in the library working at any one time?
And how many are volunteers, and can we increase that? Because that would cut costs.
Let me refer you to Sarah for that. She does all of our scheduling. So,
well, during the day, there's more people.
Right.
And then as you get into the night, there are 3 closers. And volunteers, we have a couple that are steady.
That are what?
That are steady. And then we have a couple teen volunteers right now, which I can't guarantee how long they'll stay.
Oh, what did you say, teenagers? Okay. We have worked for Friends of the Library group for a long time, and it's just never materialized. People talk about it, and it would be a wonderful thing because it could do the social activities or fundraising that the foundation chooses not to do. And I would hope, I heard there've been a couple of meetings about it, but they must have been private meetings. I never heard about it. I, Friends of the Library, we've talked about it for years and years, and it's just never come into fruition. So, yes, we'd like to have full-time employment for everybody.
So you would like to have the Friends of the Library provide you with volunteers?
I'm sorry.
Well, if we do, when our friends group becomes active, because we have been meeting and we do meet every third Wednesday,
They are public open
and they
meetings.
are public open meetings.
And our held prayer, and at what time?
In the small meeting room. I think our next meeting is March 21st.
We'd like to see the Friends of the Library. Maybe we need to have semi-annual book sales, or we need to host open houses at the library. Come
And so
see
you would
the-
welcome us to help you provide
Yes,
volunteers
now,
as well.
The Friends of the Library do understand that they cannot manage the library or the library board. But
We're not intending to. We're
We're-
completely separate from the
Well, I've heard
library board.
a speaker before with Friends of the Library, and the material was presented at that time that told how to manage the trustees. And so we kind of had a hands-off thing, but I'd love to have a Friends of the Library. I will be there. I love the library, most of us do.
Well, did Anna answer your question? Sarah kind of did.
Sarah.
Since a big expense is wages, that might have to be balanced out, the hours of the personal service. I think most people come in and check out a book, and that takes a certain amount of staff and everything, but I don't know.
Well, let's see how the change in hours is, and that we work with the budget. My intent is not to change at this time. I haven't looked it over. Friends of the Library would be just absolutely wonderful if it has no political agenda.
So
And
did
I'm hoping-
anybody get a raise this? When was the last time and directors of library, when did they last get a raise?
I refer that to Bill. I believe the city employees, I think this all happens at the same time, doesn't it?
Well, it happens, usually it happens at your evaluation, your anniversary date. And I believe it's what's included in the budget this year is 5%. So, yeah.
So part-time as well as everyone will get
Yes.
a 5% increase?
And I don't know if that's what's in this budget or if that was what's in the current year budget, but I remember Denise telling me it was 5%.
Okay.
It's for
I think it's in the
Yeah,
proposed budget.
it's included in this budget,
Okay.
this proposed budget, yes.
And that would be across the board, based on a good evaluation. I mean, it's not automatic. So if you're evaluated, you're doing your job, everything looks good, then you'd be eligible for up to 5%.
Okay, and I'd like to move to adjourn.
So do we, and when is the evaluation? Is that the,
It's at the employee's anniversary date.
oh, really?
So it doesn't happen at just one time a year, then it happens.
It kind of spreads it out over the year, so.
Spread it out. So actually, I don't believe I have to ask for somebody to move to adjourn. I think we can just say, that's it. Good night.
I have one more question.
Oh, all right.
Before you end it. We had talked about a workshop, and I wanted to make sure we got that in there with the board and the city council. I don't know if you have a certain time that you wanted to have that, but I think we should start talking about it, just to find out when it would be good for you. I thought in lieu of your normal meeting, we could join it as a city council library board.
We could do that unless they need the time for their own meeting to talk about budget or whatever.
That's true.
Or we could do it a half hour early or later or something along those lines.
Yeah, as long as we did it on the books.
But the council wants to meet with you guys, get
Right.
to know you, talk about what's going on, and just, lay anything you want on the table at that particular juncture for discussion.
In fact, I kind of thought that's what we were supposed to do the first half hour tonight. Weren't we supposed to?
I don't know where you,
By meeting at 5 o'clock, it was for some purpose, and I
I
thought
think
that
it was, so we could
that
meet
I-
at 5 o'clock.
I thought it was the budget, kind of, and I didn't have to be here.
Would you like to meet here for that, or would you like us to go to the city council meeting room
Well,
and meet there?
I think
What would you like?
the council room would probably be a better place to meet. There's more room.
Yeah,
It's a better place to just,
okay.
go over everything. So
And offhand, I don't remember when the next city council meeting is. I don't have a calendar with me. But we've got to go to, we've got to get Susanna.
Squeeze it into that one that quick.
The next meeting would be in March, the first meeting would be on the 12th. That's a Monday.
Do they meet twice a month?
Yes.
Oh, those lucky people. And so we would meet, don't they usually start at 7?
Yes.
So 6:30,
So 6:30 or 6, whatever
Okay.
they can meet.
we'll be there. And what is the next Friends group meeting? On Wednesday of that week?
Wednesday, the 21st of March, I believe.
Okay. Yes, I don't have a calendar. We're adjourned.
So we will be advertising for our, now we're still one person short on our floor. We bring one in at the same night one resigns.
Yes.
So that's
The city
ongoing.
council approve it, and we'll get the information out. That seems to be saying that the library, we're a great deal of turnover.
Notice that.
How about that?
We're meeting at 12. We're meeting at 12.
I think Mary Kay Dahlgren is fabulous.
I'd rather not. I'd rather not at 6. Then have some questions and things that this is going to be.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely not. Oh, great, thank you. No library there.
Oh, you might see me smile again there,
Yes.
Is there an
I don't know
How many up on
the packets.
I guess in a way it is.
Terry Bartel.
I'm Suzanne.